Hi there, everybody. You may have noticed that the music is missing, but that's the program. It just pulled that on me at the last minute. So, anyway, I figured that we will live. All right, so you did get the screen that told you what our program is about today. How I never give up and why. So, the first and funniest thing about how I never give up is that it's only partly me. It's not really me who's never giving up. It seems like something happens and then I get support at the last minute and then I don't give up. Sometimes when and don't think that I don't want to give up. Frequently, especially the last couple of months, I have to admit, it was like, oh no, I can't believe what's happening now. Oh no, I can't believe So you may be wondering why there is a guy in a purple shirt sitting next to me, and that's because James' computer is not working right now. But so here it is, and look at that, we're wearing the same color. Isn't that important? Okay, so I want to tell you a story, and it's not about a pervert, or it's not about people getting arrested. It's a different kind of story. So I think that should be a relief for a change, right? Um, 2 days ago, James and I were coming home from a trip that was supposed to be wonderful and had one ordeal after another, right? As things are, especially when you're doing something new or you're wanting it to work out really well. There's usually one catastrophe after another. And this time we stopped at a rest stop. I won't tell you why. And I got out with the dogs, and I was so proud of myself because I was feeling strong. And as many of you know, I am chronically ill and disabled and all of that. And so I was walking them back to the van and I fell. Now, I have to give you a context for this. I didn't like just trip and fall against the wall, which is what I normally do. I tripped and fell on the ground, on the concrete, and then I don't know, I rolled. Somehow I ended up on the dirt too. Now, the last couple of times that I fell, well, once I broke a vertebrae in my back. It's very severe osteoporosis. You just look at my bones and they break, right? So, my vertebrae crumbled. And then the next major fall I had, which was off a chair, I broke uh, the humerus in my arm. And then the next time I fell, I broke the humerus in my other arm. So when I start falling, I don't feel casual about it. It's not like, I can handle this. It's like, oh no, what catastrophe is going to befall me now? And I was screaming my head off because I was in agony. Uh, and all of a sudden, four people showed up. Four people. Two men and two women. Now, I didn't see any of them because I was on the floor screaming. Somebody got the dogs, uh, and these two guys came over and they said, don't worry, we're going to help, can you get up? And I laughed. I can't get up from the floor on a good day. Without an accident, I cannot get off the floor. I'm too weak. So I said, no, I can't possibly get up. Also, I had fallen on my knees. They were, in extreme pain. I have arthritis anyway. So what they did, and I explained, you can't pull me up by my arms because my arms are weak. So they got under me and they lifted me from the floor. They had one hand on the back, like they knew what they were doing. They supported my back and lifted me up from the ground. And all of a sudden, there I am standing, very pained, but still standing in a wobbly way. And they're basically holding me up with my feet on the ground. Then we have this van, which has all these steps that you have to get
Motorhome.
up to. It's a motorhome. It's a Class B motorhome. It's a little one, and and it doesn't have automatic steps. You have to get up there. And and I thought, I'm never going to be able to get in there. And they lifted me up one step after another. They figured out how to do it, and I helped too. I held on to the thing on top, and ultimately, I was in the motorhome, and I was sitting in the passenger seat with my dog, and they had put everything in the van, and they had gone into the bathroom to find James, and it was amazing. So now, why am I telling you this story? Because just based on my experience, the pain that I was in that moment, I just would have felt like giving up. I don't know what I would have done, but I was going to lie there on the ground till the next day, try to find some emergency number that would work in the middle of nowhere. Um, and we were on our way home. And I kept telling, I felt so lucky. I felt so blessed so far. And I said, I know nothing has broken because I could move all of the parts of me. Barely, but I could move them. I knew that it wasn't broken. And I knew the difference in the pain level when I cracked my arm last time and injured my hip. So, anyway, I felt ebullient. And that is symbolic of why I never give up, because it seems like something may come out of the woodwork that you don't expect. That's one way that I get saved. I should call that a how. I didn't give up because people rescued me. And I don't know who they voted for, and I don't know what their position is on um undocumented people and deportations and all of that. But I know that they were good people and they were really trying to help. And there are still good people in the world. I know there's a lot of really sick people in the world who do terrible things. So I'm not going to deny that. But there's also a lot of good people and they help. And this happens all the time. It's not just in my case. So I'm starting out with that little anecdote because that's what made me do this show tonight. This brought me into the awareness. I It's been 2 days. It is a miracle. We happen to have rollators on every floor. We have a chairlift that brought me upstairs. Uh, I had James to help me once we got out of there. He rolled me into the garage. I had help at home. He took care of me, and I managed to use the rollator and barely put any pressure on my legs. And I figured out how to wobble to get into the bathroom. So it's like, oh my God. And I'm lying there in a bed thinking, oh my God, I'm here. And I have a hospital bed that I was able to get into, and it lifted me up. And I didn't injure my wrist either. And I fell on the dirt on my wrist, and I'm a pianist. And I have very weak wrists. So I was like, wait a minute. What is this? I'm not that hurt. The next day, which is usually worse in my experience, I was better than worse rather than worse. Uh, I was able to roll myself around, put a little weight on my legs. And today, you know, what can I say? I'm tired. I'm sore. I wish I were, in bed, sleeping, not working tonight. But I'm so grateful. And how many times have you had an experience where you were like on the brink of giving up and something happened that brought you some hope, some optimism? I am trying to keep that spirit going today in our world, not just about my little problems, but about the many problems of the world. I am looking constantly for the helping hand, for the people who are coming out of the woodwork, for the people who are protesting and caring and coming up with brilliant ideas and doing all kinds of things that advance a better world. I am not going to give up on the idea that we can build a better world just because things look grim. My whole life has been very difficult. And here's Kenneth, and he says hi to everyone. Hi to you, Kenneth. Thank you for showing up on YouTube, by the way. Um, so I'm not going to give up because I know there are lots of good people out there and there's lots of creativity. And then there is the absolute unexpected, like that there were 4 people at that rest stop who helped me, 2 men who knew what they were doing. They weren't real young, but they were strong. One was younger than the other. They knew what they were doing. I mean, what's the odds? We're in the middle of nowhere, right? So something happens. So I tend to persevere. You know, I always look for something positive to keep me going. I Sometimes I feel so weak, and I just feel it's hopeless. But there's something in me that has had so many experiences since very young, right? Where things go really badly and somehow I'm rescued or I see other people rescued. Okay, now I've talked a little bit about how I never give up by noticing and appreciating all the good things that are happening. And why don't I give up? Because to give up is the end. It's the end. You're saying nothing can happen. And who am I to say that nothing can happen? I get up every day actually thinking I'm going to be well. I've been sick my entire life, but I'm expecting to be well. And I think the fact that I had such a great fall and that I'm so functional already tells me that I am getting stronger, as unlikely as that would be to somebody with a logical mind, right? So if I give up, then there's no chance for the universe to surprise me. I had pretty much given up on every ever finding a partner in life. And I found one. I was, I don't know, 65 or something like that. And he was 66. I was the younger woman. And we have had a rough time, but we're still together. We're making it. I don't know what I would do without him. Okay, now why, and I think that's also built into human beings are incredibly resilient, don't you think? I don't know how anybody survives. There are people who have written books about being in the Holocaust. How did they survive that? Think, if they can survive the Holocaust, how can I mean, people who end up being good people, kind people, caring people, somewhat sane people. I mean, most of us aren't sane, but okay. Now I want to add this piece. Sometimes it's right to give up. But I don't consider that giving up. When I am at my last breath, I need to surrender to the reality that I am dying. But I don't have to think of that as giving up. I can think of that as moving on to something else. Like, you have a marriage or a relationship or a job and it just isn't working out. And so you can say, oh, when do I quit? Well, quitting doesn't mean giving up. Quitting means you move on to the next phase of life. So let's reinterpret that, shall we? Is it time to move on to another stage? Is it time to try a new relationship? Or is it time to see how you do with no relationship? Is it time to see how you do without that job? Maybe it's time for you to see what else might be on the horizon. Maybe it's time for you to find out what it's like to be on welfare. I can tell you, I've been on welfare. It ain't happy. Uh, but there's always something to be learned from every experience. And so giving up is not an option. Moving on is an option when it is the right time. And then there is no sense of defeat. There is a sense of, I have completed this experience and I'm ready for the next one. So, this is Lighting the Way with Beth Green and friends. And I am going to bring on my friends and see what they have to say. They've heard the same thing you have, and uh, they heard it when you did. So here we have special duo Lizzie and Rebecca. And oh, we have Todd. So I was kind of hoping that Lizzie and Rebecca would be on different. Uh
Screen.
oh, we are not going to be able to get everybody on these screens. I'm going to have to do it another way. I'm so sorry. So I really liked it that way, but okay, now everybody is here. All right, including.
That's just a thing.
So we have Lizzie and Rebecca, and we have Todd Bitten.
And we have James.
Oh, and Betsy has made a comment. Hello, true, never give up. Going forward with hope, energy, and love. Absolutely, even if it means going forward into death. Yes. Okay, so who would like to share next?
I'll go. Can you hear me all right?
Perfectly. Is there no echo this time?
There's no echo that I can hear.
All right. You see, I never gave up. After the last show, I spent hours trying to figure out how to fix the echo issue and called tech support, and they said call an engineer, and then I found it on Google. What can I say? So I didn't give up. This time I didn't give up and it worked. Yes, Todd.
Well, I know what it's like. You're the queen of never giving up. And I don't give up very easily either. I do get frustrated sometimes. And today I was ready to I was close to screaming. I was so mad. It took my page and it shrunk it down to and I didn't know why, but I figured it out like 2 minutes before this started. And I had a similar thing. I do web design as a career. That's my job. And there's always something weird happening. And yesterday was the same thing. But not giving up is a good thing. You know, it would be better though. Let's say it would be better if I wasn't so grumpy about it. And
very good point.
Yeah, like sometimes I do persevere and get through it, but I'm like, crap. And I'm just grumbling and kvetching and yelling. And, it'd be a lot better if I said, okay, let me take a 5-minute break and go have a little fit in the backyard, throw a tantrum, and then come back with fresh energy and just tackle it without all that negativity, So that is my insight from today. I was really upset, and I know I could have just either gone outside and yelled or something, if I need to do that. Okay, I'm not hurting anybody, but yell into a pillow or something, and then come back and approach it with new energy, or just let it go. Okay, take a break, let it go. Yeah.
Give yourself a timeout.
Right. Yeah.
I think that I can understand wanting to yell and scream, and sometimes that's a good idea. And by the way, Amy said no echo. But you could have listened to your favorite music, given yourself something healthy to eat, taking a walk, hug somebody.
Right.
I think that feeding the hopefulness, and I think that's kind of what I was trying to talk about, is being grateful for something. Those things I think are a little bit better than yelling and screaming, because that puts you into tension.
Right.
And the tension, it becomes so unbearable. And I know from a lot of experience that when you're in pain, whether it's emotional or physical, you need to relax. That is when you most need to relax. So I love what you're saying, Todd. I'm really glad that it's perfect that you had this experience today. And it's good that you gave yourself a break, but give yourself a real break, a real break from the negativity, because what happens is when we keep getting blocked, or things keep happening that we when we feel frustrated that we want to change something or we want to make something better and we can't, and we're seeing all the suffering and we can't stop it. If we just get more and more negative and tense, then we give up. And then who's there to protest?
Right.
Who's there to help? Who's there to do whatever we can? And it is a matter of doing what we can. We can't solve the problem, but we can do what we can. So, and there you get find that inner strength and you connect to it. So that's really great. So who would like to share next? James?
I think my major focus of not giving up is being on this path of growth and consciousness with you. We've been together now almost 15 years. And when I met you, I had a very puffed up ego, mostly because when I was doing my hypnotherapy career, I was highly regarded, got a lot of accolades. And so I was very puffed up. But every day you catch me on when I go into my ego. But I keep on going. And early on in our relationship, I found it very difficult to take. But I've discovered that as we worked on whatever that egoic issue was, I wound up feeling better and more whole. So I says, hey, this works. I'm going to keep doing this. And so that's what happens over and over and over. And I keep persevering, keep moving forward. And I think I'm gaining on it as I continue to try to overcome the domination of my ego.
And, and and that's great because what you're talking about is you have a goal and that keeps driving you.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, but, or you have a child and you think, oh, I want to see this thing through. There's something in you that says it's really worth persevering. Now, would you like me to catch you on your ego right now?
Sure.
Okay. So I don't know if anybody noticed. James said that when he met me, he was very puffed up because he had had a successful
Oh, I
hypnotherapy.
didn't mention that I also had a career as an attorney, and I wasn't doing so great in that one.
Right. And
That's
that
right.
was the career that you had when you met me.
Yeah.
And puffing yourself up was because I thought you were going to say, and the reason that I puffed myself up is because I felt so bad about myself for a lot of things
That's
where
right.
I felt
That's
weak or I
true.
felt no good. I felt unvaluable.
And I wound up letting go of the practicing of law because I felt ill suited for it. What am I doing? I'm in the wrong field here. And so you and I converged on this combination of spirituality and therapeutic work. And that's been more of the focus since then.
You're not doing the therapeutic work. I am.
Oh,
You,
on myself. Yeah.
we as the team. So I don't know. I think you're tripping yourself up here, James. You could have
Yeah, that's what I
simply
had in mind when we first met. But it hasn't worked out that way so
no,
much.
no, it didn't. But it worked out for you to find a different calling, which is you take care of me and our family. You're like,
And I support you in the work.
yeah, he supports me in the work, but I do the work, right? But he supports me in the work and he feeds me and and takes care of us and walks the dogs and all of that, which are absolutely essential. But your ego, it still will not let you just say that, right? And so it's we have a choice. See, you could say, I gave up on the law because I was doing terribly and it wasn't good for me and it was very stressful and I wasn't being successful and I felt terrible about myself and so I moved on.
That's right. I moved on.
And that would have been such a great thing for you to say, for you to hear yourself say, I moved on to something that I'm very suited for. That
Yes.
James is a great caretaker. I mean, I need a caretaker and I happen to marry one. He never was a caretaker before. I mean, although he
Right.
did raise a child for some years,
Well,
but
that's another egoic thing I had to overcome because in my previous relationships, I was typically one up and she did the cooking and the housework and all that stuff. Now the tables are turned,
They
and
are.
so I'm doing the cooking, the kitchen cleanup, and the various chores, tasks, shopping, and so on. And
And
so
go
that's another
forward.
challenge for the ego.
Exactly, tremendous. But go forth, as Betsy says, go forward with hope, energy, and love. You could say, "I really love the job I have now. I'm doing a good job, a great job, and I'm absolutely necessary." And so I gave up on something that wasn't working, and I embraced something that is. But the ego has a hard time sometimes. That makes it harder to do that. So
And
thank you.
you left out partnering around the music too. You
Oh
didn't say
yeah.
anything about that. And you are, when you're not trying to be somebody with the music, you're a very supportive, great collaborator, you know, in your magical improvs. So that's another aspect of how you contribute that is not egoic. When you're just in the flow together, it's so lovely.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for
Thank you,
raising
Todd.
that, Todd, because tomorrow night we are doing magical improvs on all the same channels. That's at 7 p.m. Pacific time. Check it out. I've got a great keyboard, and James is a wonderful singer. Has a great voice, and when we are in harmony with each other, it's we really enjoy the experience, even if nobody else
And
does.
when we're in harmony, we're cooking.
We
Yeah.
we do it. So thank you, Todd, for bringing that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So who would like to share next? Is that you, Lizzie?
I'll go next. Um, well, I can think of a couple of times in my life where I had a hard time moving
Can you
Uh,
get the device a little closer? It's hard to hear you.
on. Can you hear me better now?
it's cutting in and out, but it's
That's right. Yeah, it might be the back of the. Oh, we're gonna close the windows. I can think of a couple of times where I had a hard time letting go and
Can't
moving
hear
on.
you.
Nope.
can't hear you.
Okay.
It's like it's using a different microphone than it usually does or something. It usually sounds
Well,
better.
I'm on my neighbor's computer, so.
Oh, got it.
Okay, it looks like you're trying to solve the problem.
Yeah.
So we're not giving up. We could be so well. In the meantime, while they're trying to solve the problem, zippity doo dah, zippity
Zippity-yay.
yay, my oh my, what a wonderful day! Plenty
Plenty
of
of
sunshine
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 coming
coming
my
my
way.
way.
Zippity doo dah,
Zippity-doo-dah,
zippity
zippity-yay.
yay.
Can you hear
Okay,
me
no, can't hear. Still can't hear you,
now? Huh. That's weird. Oh, it's still not going.
Mr. Bluebird on
On
my
my shoulder.
shoulder.
It's
It's
the
a,
truth. It's
it's
actual.
actual.
Everything
Everything
is
is satisfactual.
satisfactual.
Zippity doo
Zippity-doo-dah,
dah, zippity
zippity-yay.
yay. Wonderful
Wonderful
feeling,
feeling,
wonderful
wonderful
day.
day.
So we are not getting you guys. Well, how about you put it in the chat and we'll read it out loud, even though people who are watching will be able to see what you're saying. So type away. I hope you're fast. And we're not giving up. We want to hear what you have to say. By the way, I don't mean be Pollyanna. You know, I never recommend that we don't talk about the real pain. We have to talk about the real pain, but we don't want it to just crush us. Okay, so it looks like Lizzie is typing something with her cell phone, maybe. Aha! I've experienced a few times I had difficulty moving on from situations. You and all of the rest of us. Absolutely. She's still typing. Too bad we don't know sign language. To regarding relationships, another was, oh, two. One was regarding relationships, another was a job. Hmm. Where She's still typing. It's coming. It's really hard to type fast on a cell phone. I can tell you that.
It's an all thumbs operation.
Thumbs up to Lizzie. It would have been great for me to recognize it was time to move on and not feel guilty about moving forward. Oh my God, you have really said something there. I'm just going to elaborate a little bit on that because I know how hard it is for you to type, but you can type away if you want to. That's such an important point. Sometimes we don't let go and move on because we feel guilty about a situation or a relationship, and we can't let ourselves be happy. But we need to, because when we stay in the wrong relationship, we get sicker, and so does the other person. And we don't fulfill our potential. And if we're in a job that really isn't right for us, then there's some other person out there who could use that job, and that we're blocking them from staying by staying where we are. It's the same thing even with a relationship. If you don't move on, the other person never has a chance to move on too. So, Lizzie, was there anything more you wanted? Oh, also to face the truth about myself in these relationships. I didn't want to admit that I was gay and tried to make the wrong relationships work. Bravo for saying that. Bravo. Because that's the level of honesty that we need. And that helps us to not feel crushed and to not give up, but rather to move on by facing the truth about ourselves, like James didn't quite do the first time around. So we definitely appreciate that. Thank you so much, Lizzie. It looks like she may be writing more. She is. Other people in our audience, you can share situations like that too. Okay. And I also love the thought of moving on instead of giving up. It makes the process easier. Oh, good. Oh, good. Even, especially when you think about it, even when you're dying, you know, uh, we are moving on to some other experience, whether it's an experience that we're conscious of, or it's just what happens in the universe. And being in the right place, doing the right thing. That's great. What about you, Rebecca? How are you with thumbs?
Or maybe we can hear you.
Yeah.
Can you? Is it working?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, are you serious? Okay.
Yes.
Well,
It's
yeah.
not perfect, but it's way better than when Lizzie was talking. So go ahead.
Okay. Maybe it was just the outside noise. Fun Club was going by, but
And you just faded
It is
away.
cutting out. You need to talk loud. For some reason, it's just. Can you get closer to the microphone?
Yeah.
I guess so. I mean, is this better?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. What I was going to say was that I do think that we live in a society that's always valued.
Speak into the microphone, please.
I don't know where the microphone is.
We heard you do think that.
I do think that we live in a society where we really value not giving up. It's
Mhm.
win, conquer, keep pushing, burnout.
Mhm.
And I do think that it is a really healthy message to be able to kind of set your boundaries on when it does feel aligned to move on. And I also agree with Lizzie is that I like the reframe of moving on instead of giving up because it can be a different chapter rather than just throwing in the towel.
I love what you're saying, Rebecca. It's so important. Conquering is ego. Oh, I can overcome this. I can conquer this. It's really about I conquering, something about me being great. But, being in alignment with yourself, your inner being in alignment with what is for the highest good of all is so different. And it has nothing to do with conquering or ego. There are times when we do have to fight something, but what we're fighting is that tendency to give up. So we don't want to just give up out of giving up, like because we've had too many experiences where we have felt defeated. And so, oh, that's it, I'm going to give up. We don't want to give in to that because that's not a healthy way to be either. But you're so right. There are many times, I try to work on a problem and then I realize maybe the stars aren't aligned. Maybe it's just not time. I'm going to give you a funny example. There's a company that makes keyboards, and about 8 years ago, at least 8 years ago, I fell in love with the sound of those keyboards. But I tried every one of them, and I couldn't play any of them because the action was terrible for my hands. And so I finally had to move on. And over the years, I found it different. I either did or I didn't, but I just kept going with it. And then a few months ago, this company came out with a keyboard action that I can play, and it's sitting right here. And so I moved on because it didn't exist yet. We want things to happen, but they don't yet exist. And maybe they will come into existence 20 years after we're dead, or maybe they'll come into existence tomorrow. And we just stay open to the possibilities, but we can't force things that aren't there. Looking for a house that doesn't exist, right? Looking for a person that doesn't exist. So I really like what you're saying, and I love what you're saying about how we're so conditioned to be egoic and to prove something about ourselves. This is not about proving something about ourselves. It's about not giving in to negativity, but also being only open to what is possible, to be in allowance. I have a book called Living with Reality, which is in our healingartsnetwork.org website, and it's free. It's a free download. And I talk about co creating with the universe in a subtle dance of intention and allowance. And I can intend from today to next year, and I can only work on my intention. But if the obstacles to my intention are strong enough, I won't get what I want or what I think I should have. And that's when I have to be in allowance. And I like to feel at the end of the day that there will be an answer. You know, Today I look at our country and I am shocked and appalled in many ways about what I see. And I do what little I can, and so do you. And I know that this will come to a close and there will be an evolution from it. I just don't know when. And I'm not going to pretend that there isn't a lot of suffering in between. But I tell myself, whether it's true or not, I tell myself that this will change and that we just have to go through the process. And the universe told me once, you'd better get used to the process, Beth, because that's all there is. There is no destination. Everything is a transition to the next transition to the next transition. And I get that. And so even the society with all the painful things that are happening, we are in a transition to the next transition. And I would like to support that transition to a better outcome for all. So, if no one else has anything to share, either on our YouTube or Facebook page, please give us a thumbs up on YouTube and subscribe to our channel. And please like or love us on Facebook and follow our page. And come back next Wednesday for Lighting the Way with Beth Green and Friends. And be well, give yourself love, and think about what I said. And please share this program with others who you think it might help, because they may be at a time in their lives where they need to hear this desperately. So it seems like no one has anything further to say. So I'm going to get ready to do the music, and hopefully this time the music will actually play.
Bye-bye.
Bye.